It's so sad that you feel like you don't have a mission or purpose. And I said, it doesn't have to be a career. It doesn't have to be a charity. It can be your family. It could be raising an amazing human that then goes on to do amazing things in the world too. Welcome to the Story of Spirit podcast, where practical spirituality meets real life. Hi, I'm your host, Sheetal Story. I'm a psychic medium, grief support counselor, professional astrologer, and a human design reader, and of course, a law of attraction master coach. With my unique blend of spiritual and practical tools, I am here to help you align with your soul-led purpose and ignite a life that sets your soul on fire. In this podcast, we are going to explore the principles of energy, astrology, spirituality, and psychology to help you heal your grief and create an aligned life and business from the inside out. Whether you are looking to deepen your intuition, understand your cosmic design, or transform your business, this podcast is for you. Join me each week for insightful discussions, practical tips, and inspiring stories that will guide you on your journey to living your very best life. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at Sheetal Story or wherever you listen to this podcast. Let's dive in and start this transformative journey together. Welcome to the Story of Spirit podcast. Today's topic is a juicy one. And it's one that dropped in right when COVID hit in 2020. And it is your soul-led purpose. Every soul is born with a purpose, with a mission in this lifetime. And it isn't just a cut and dry, like this is your mission, feeding the homeless or creating a new computer, thanks the Apple Guide. But this is about more so your legacy on this planet and the ripple of energy that it sends out into the world. And just like success, your purpose leaves clues, but it only leaves clues when you're looking back and connecting the dots. I once heard a really wonderful speaker speak about your purpose. You have many assignments in life, and your purpose will lace through every assignment. So even though it's not one assignment for the rest of your life, you are going to have an assignment that's going to take care of your purpose as well, right? Your soul knows the way. You just have to listen to it. And when your soul comes into incarnation, it has a mission, a purpose that it wants to kind of live out in this lifetime. And there's many different kinds of purpose. And it also will have life lessons that it wants to experience as part of this purpose. So I like to think of it as checkpoints that your soul is going to go through in your lifetime. And each checkpoint will then, your soul will get you there, whether it's, you have free will, right? Of course, to get you there, but there will be no question as to how you must get there, right? You must get there. So an example of that will be high school, right? If you graduated high school, this was your checkpoint for you. If you didn't graduate high school, that's also a checkpoint for you. So graduating high school, think about what it took to get there, right? Here in Canada, it's 12 years of school plus kindergarten, so 13 years technically. You go into school, you're taking all the classes, you're getting to the next levels of all of your subjects. And then in grade 12, you have to write the diploma exams. And back in my day, I know that sounds so old, but back in my day, the diploma exams were 50% of your mark, right? Like you could fail if you fail the diploma. Now my kids, 10, 20%, like it's fine. And that kind of shifted, I think, a lot because of COVID, but back in my day, there was big stakes if you didn't do well. So there was a lot of studying, there was a lot of cramming, there's a lot of stress, and you're going to classes, and I'm a super achiever. So I was an honor student and I wanted to get to university, and there was no option for me not to go to university. So I'll talk about that in a moment. So as studying, and then we write the diploma exams, you get back your marks and you pass, right? Glorious. Now you graduate, go to prom or grad. We call it grad in Canada. I know they call it prom in the US. And you might have a date, you might not, your dress, the friends, the limo, all the things. And then you're like, now what? Right? Now what? So the checkpoint is high school graduation. So to get there, you had to do a whole bunch of stuff to get there. And then now you hit that checkpoint, you jump through that hoop. And now on the other side, there's potential. right now there's many paths. You got to choose which path is for you. And I really wanted to go traveling, but my parents were like, no, right? And if you have East Indian parents, first generation Canadian, there's no option. You got to listen to your parents, right? And so I was groomed right from the womb that I'm going to go to university. And neither of my parents have university degrees, and so it was a real sort of hope for them. They both cried at my graduation, so there was no choice. I had to go to university. They saved up using a scholarship trust fund. I got honors, so I got scholarships for that as well, so my university was pretty much paid for. And I had to put that back, that to the back burner. So I went in thinking I was going to be a doctor, and got learned very quickly in my first year that is not my path, and then switched into business. And I do tell more about that in previous episodes. But so my path then meanders over into business, and graduating, I thought I was going to go to law school. That shifted. But everything, like, even I wanted to be a doctor because I wanted to help babies. I want to be a pediatrician. Then I thought, okay, I want to be a geneticist. I want to help people who can't have babies, find out what's happening. Is there a genetic reason for this? Then, okay, med school is not for me. Okay, I want to be a lawyer. I want to help usher in gay rights into the Constitution and protect people who are being wrongly persecuted. So I really wanted to support people who were being wronged by the government, by law, and whatever. Just protecting people, the underdog, right? That is in my actual astrology, which we'll talk about. So then that's not going to work out because I didn't pass the LSATs. I mean, I did. I got 50th percentile. So I did better than half the people who did the law entrance exam, but not as good as other half of the people, right? So I'm not going to get into law school on that. So decided I'll go take an after degree. Guess what my after degree was in? Criminology, y'all, right? So I wanted to help. Everything had this helping piece. I wanted to help people, but I didn't know how. I was trying, but it's not working out. And then eventually I go into the workforce, and I started to work for Keg Restaurants head office as a purchaser, right? Purchasing manager. Am I helping people? I mean, I'm helping the Keg, get richer, and people who are wealthy get wealthier, but it's not actually like my purpose. My mission feels like that wasn't it until I look back and see all the people that I had relationships with. People find me when they're moving through transitions in their life. Friends found me that way. Colleagues found me that way. Suppliers found me that way. Literally walk people through miscarriages, divorce, death. There was so many, 100%. Like, I was helping so many people who were going through really tough times while I was at that job. And then we moved back to Edmonton. Bounced around. Well, not bounced around. I started in purchasing again because that was my background. Not really conducive to family life. Went into sales and marketing. Great company, great job for my lifestyle. And I helped my clients find solutions. I got to know them. Relationships are key in sales and marketing. It's not the sale. I always would say I can't sell ice to an Eskimo, but I can help you solve a problem, and it might not be my product, but I'll help you because I really just care about you. It's not really my bank account, but by proxy it would come together because then they'd be like, oh, well, what do you have? Show me what you've got because you helped me here. I really want to kind of reciprocate. And so it always would work out. And then when the pandemic hit, in 2020 in March, and I was released from my job, I had already, my gifts, I got to rewind a bit. My gifts started to come in when my youngest was born, which was in 2009. Well, 2010, because he was born in December. So in 2010, as my gifts started to come in, it was like everything clicked into place. It was almost like the puzzle just clicked together all of a sudden. All these pieces came together, and it was like, this is how I'm supposed to help people. This is like, my heart was so happy, but I saw my purpose, but I couldn't get there just yet because financially it was not a good time to just leave my job. I was, bringing in half of the income for the family. So that was important. So I had to stay in my jobs, even though I saw my purpose. And it was still good because I did, the company was great. The experiences was great. I was still, everything was working until it wasn't. And then all of a sudden things started to fall apart. And it was really interesting because I knew it was my time to leave. Right. So I could see that. And I was waiting for the next step. The next step presented. It was a very interim step. And then when COVID hit, I was released from that job. And it was then I was like, okay, Spirit, if this is what's meant for me, if I'm meant to serve, show me in what way. And I got released from my job on the Thursday, I woke up on the Friday and I had this discover your soul. Actually, at the time, I called it skyrocket into your passion and purpose. And of course, during COVID, people had time. And there was a lot of like, what now for me? Like, if I don't have to do this job, what would I do instead? And there was a lot of people in that contemplation mode of like, do I really want this lifestyle? Like everything shut down. There's a lot of fear. And I was talking into a place of like more support for yourself. So it was a very healing program as well, because we do a lot of the healing behind the scenes as well. And then the more I learned, the more I added to the program. And it was a 12-week program. And it was called it now has become Discover Your Soul Led Purpose. So that purpose, and I remember when I first put it out on social media, I got 15 amazing women signed up, and I made, oh my gosh, 10 times my paycheck. Or I'm not doing the math yet, but I did my paycheck times like 5, in 1 week, which was like huge. I couldn't believe that this is what online business was. And I have all the skills for online business. I've taken a lot of courses. My degree is in business. I love all things like funnel and marketing and psychology and all those pieces of it too. And then I also love serving, right? And I love helping people, as you've heard. So when I first put it out on Instagram and Facebook that I'm running this course, a lady who I don't know who she is, just somebody comes forward and she's like, there's no such thing. You're bulking people for money. And I was like, what are you talking about? I said, it's so sad that you feel like you don't have a mission or purpose. And I said, it doesn't have to be a career. It doesn't have to be a charity. It can be your family. It could be raising an amazing human that then goes on to do amazing things in the world too. Like, we don't know until, again, you look back and you see what really pulls your heart, right? This is bringing to mind a story. I ran a vision board workshop for the women of the Mayo Clinic at Mount Sinai Hospital who are going through gynecological cancer. It's one of like, I'm so honored that I was able to do that. And we did it in a 3 series because many of the women were going through cancer treatment as well, and to help them vision for the future. Because if you can hold that vision for the future, then there's this kind of want to stay alive, this survival, this your soul is excited and continues to bring you through exceptional circumstances. And so that experience of running that workshop, it was really interesting because I got to meet women who were in various stages of their cancer journey. There were people on there that were helpers for the women in the program too. There's about 30 women that went through the entire 3 weeks. And one of the ladies on there, she was really profound. I don't think she knows that she made such an impression on me, because she was the only one that's ever come through my vision board workshop and said, I don't know what to put on my board because I have everything I could possibly need. And I remember stopped in my tracks and I was like, that is so beautiful. Like you've obtained enlightenment, y'all. Like, you don't, there's no want, there's no need. You have everything you need. And she said, I love spending time with my family. So I asked her, like, what do you love doing? What's filling your heart with joy in this moment? And she listed off family. She's very thankful for her body. She just came into remission, officially diagnosed as in remission. And she was just so thankful and grateful for life. And I said, you got to put that on your board, right? Make it a gratitude board instead, then, or the vision is to hold this now for the rest of your life and just be in joy. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to be in constant moving forward. Like, she taught me, right? She taught me in her purpose. Her purpose was to go through everything and now to be a beacon in the world for what's possible, and that it's okay to just be in sustainable joy. It's not about wanting more. I thought it was so beautiful. She really touched my life and my heart to the point where I'm telling you the story even 3 years later. And that was her mission. Like, her mission touched me. And really all she was doing was she went through cancer. She was, I think she was a homemaker her life. Like, she raised her family and now she had grandchildren, and then she went through cancer treatment, and now she was coming back as a volunteer to help other women who were going through the program. So she does have, this mission of helping others was in her bones, but it's really this like finding a place of, I'm good. I feel good here. I'm so happy and I want to be in sustainable joy. And that then touched everybody. Like I noticed everyone's face went, wow, that's really cool. I want to get there. Right. So I almost feel like that's enlightenment, right? Really is to just be happy with where you're at and have you know that you have everything you need. And so that was beautiful. Like that was a mission and a purpose that really touched everybody around her. And even to get to that enlightenment, to get to that place, she had to go through cancer, right? She literally had to go through hell and back to come to it on the other side. But I think in her life, there would always have been that purpose or that mission to want that or know that about herself. I don't know her deeper enough to sort of talk to that, but there's something there. It was so profound, right? So even in my mission to help people, I was fascinated. And when I created this Discovering Your Soul at Purpose, I, again, divinely, like things just dropped in. I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this as module 1, this is module 2, this module 3. There's 6 modules in the class. And then we have like Q&A weeks or weeks of integration in between because some of the modules are a little heavy. And so it was wonderful. Like it wasn't overwhelming. People could come in and show up. And then I supported in various ways as well. And that, again, that woman who commented and said, you're bilking people out of money here. No one has a purpose. You're trying to, it's phony bananas. And I said, are you kidding me? You're missing some of the deepest points of life by understanding that you do have a purpose. And even if you don't think so, fine. It's gravity. Like it's still going to affect you whether you believe it or not. But I think being so aware and intentional of it changes you, changes your life, changes what you say yes to, right? And changes where you put your energy to. So that's why I really wanted to talk about soul purpose today. And, soul purpose leaves clues, right? Just like success, soul purpose leaves clues. And we can look back, and what I use in my course is there's 4 ways to look back and see what your soul purpose is. So the first one is in human design. So human design, everyone, if you don't know what human design is, it's based on NASA data and kind of ancient wisdom, where we then can see a person's design at birth. So it is totally objective. It's not subjective like the Enneagram or Myers-Briggs, where you're answering questions about yourself. I feel like every time I take those tests, I'm a different person. It's like, how many multiple personalities do I have? Because I'm like, how is it so different every time? Like, I feel like I'm answering in the moment, but I guess I'm shifting moment to moment, right? Welcome to evolution. And it doesn't feel accurate to me. So I like things that are very objective, and it tells you based on the way that your chart. So this actually is based on your birth time, and it's a synthesis of astrology, of the I Ching, of the Kabbalah, of the chakra systems. It's a pretty cool system. So you put in your birth time, your birth data, so your birth time, exact date of birth, your place of birth, and your date of birth, place of birth, and exact time of birth. And it'll spit out this body graph and these placements and a bunch of data about you. And then to obviously understand that data, you would need either a reader, a human design reader, which I am, or you can use a system or buy a report or whatever. So the one that I like to use, if you want to learn more about your human design, it's humandesignblueprint.com. Is the one from my teacher. My teacher is Erin Claire Jones. She's so fantastic. I learned so much from her. And that's where you can get your own free readout. You put in your email address. You don't have to pay anything. And it gives you a pretty comprehensive little blueprint readout of what your blueprint is. And it helps you to understand your gifts and talents in a deeper way. I am not getting a kickback for that. Okay. So it's not a referral. I just genuinely love Erin Claire Jones, and it's a great way to learn about your human design. So in your human design, there is something called an incarnation cross. The incarnation cross combines your sun, 4 gates. I'm going to just be super simple if you don't understand human design. 4 gates in your human design, and it will create a incarnation cross for you. And in your incarnation cross, they sort of say you find yourself in it, not on it. So as you're going through life, you will find your incarnation cross. So, but knowing your 4 gates and what your cross is, you can start to then apply it and see it in your life. So I'll give you an example of mine. So my incarnation cross is called the right angle cross of Eden. And what it's meant to do, and I kid you not, I found this out only in the last 2 years when I started taking up human design, is to literally create a little slice of heaven on earth, like just in a nutshell. So it's to help people create calm and harmony from chaos, understand emotions, and clearly communicate what they're experiencing to help them feel more safe and at home here on this planet. Like, what? So, the fact that I speak to the dead, right? That I'm a grief support counselor, and that I help women who are creating businesses and going through transitions to create more harmony and make big shifts on this planet. Like, you can't make this stuff up, right? I'm honestly like blew my mind when I discovered that. And it's 70% of your energy in your human design is captured in your incarnation cross with those 4 gates. So it's a really powerful knowing, and then knowing the rest of your gates and rest of the human design, it just gives you this way. I think it gives you permission to be who you really are all along. I love it. I love doing human design consultations and readings for people. It's life changing. And I include it in all of my coaching now and all of my grief counseling, because it really helps me tailor things to you in the way that you're meant to operate, and gives you permission to just be all of yourself, right? Like, how amazing is that? Like, this world has so many great tools underneath the matrix if you allow yourself to drop in. So that's one way you can find out about your soul purpose. Second way you can find out about your soul purpose is through the astrology. So in the astrology, they have the north node and the south node of the moon. Your karmic destiny is your north node, and your karmic past is your south node. And it's a perfect line. They're opposite each other in your chart. So where your south node is where you are growing, you are learning about yourself, and it's the mess that becomes your message. And then you bring that into your north node, which becomes your purpose and your destiny, your direction in which you are always aiming your North Star. It's your North Star, right? So for me, I'll give you the example. My South Node is in Aries in my 4th house of family. So it's about hyper independence, is my, hello. It is my wound from childhood of doing everything myself, having to be very self-sufficient. Not a problem. That's not a bad thing, right? It led me to really high echelons in my career, in my life. But being hyper independent means that I don't inherently collaborate, or I don't inherently know how to ask people for help, because I just know how to do things myself. I remember a boss once in my sales and marketing job. We had a big food show. I was a broker, so we represented multiple vendors. And at this food show, we had 12 vendors. So we had the most of any other broker there. Most vendors just have their own vendor, their own booth, their own samples, their own materials to hand out to people, and their banners and their display and all that stuff. I had 12. I had 12 to do, but I'm highly organized and I like that kind of challenge. So I did the 12, gave myself, time to do it. And when we were unpacking all the booths, it was in another city. So we had to have everything shipped there. So as we're unpacking the booths, I give a little plan inside of each one of how to organize what's in there and how to use it all to make the display that I want. My boss is like, Sheetal, why didn't you ask for help? And I'm like, I mean, in what? I literally was dumbfounded. I was like, in what? What would I ask for help with? And he's like, 12 booths, Sheetal? Like, you could have assigned 3 or 4 to someone else. And I was like, could I do that? I mean, this is my food show. Aren't I supposed to do that? I mean, I feel like that would be shirking my duties on someone else. He's like, Sheetal, we really need to go over how to delegate and how to assign work. And I was like, I don't know how to do that. I just do it myself, right? Like, I don't even think about it. So it's not that I don't trust anyone else, which, it happened that also at that food show, I asked the person who was local to buy balloons, and she let them go outside. I had no balloons. I was like, literally the one thing I asked somebody to help me with, she messed it up, right? Which again, I was like, oh, that's interesting that would happen, because I had the wound of hyper independence. So this was showing me that when the universe was reflecting back to me how I believed I really can't trust people to help me out. Not that I didn't think I had that wound, but I absolutely did. If that's why things happen the way they did. I gave her 2 things to do, and both those things did not come to fruition. She dropped the ball on those. Consequently, she got let go a couple months later. So not because of me, but because of her performance at the show. But it was interesting because in that I learned to ask for help and learn to assign to others. And then moving forward, that changed everything. So I had to have that job, that assignment to help me learn about my South Node in Aries, that I don't have to do everything myself. Also, South Node in Aries in the fourth house is about self worth, right? And asking for what I deserve and calling in abundance that I inherently feel that belong to me, right? So that is also something that I've been working on. And then the North Node, which is my karmic destiny, is in Libra in my 10th house. Libra is about relationships, it's about collaboration, it's about balance and harmony. And the 10th house is career. So it's being a leader, being seen as taking authority in the world, someone who is in authority in relationships, helping people learn about relating to themselves, my Aries side of it. And I also have Pluto conjunct my North Node. That's not an easy placement, y'all. Pluto is death, rebirth, and transformation, and it rules Scorpio. Scorpio is about healing, mental wellness, bringing light to the darkness. So this is literally my passion and my mission is to help people find light in the darkness, and then help you come back into connection with self and creating a community together, that we are rising together. I'm so collaborative. I'm so community focused. There is not a competitive bone in my body. And I notice when I do feel competitive, it is very toxic because it's not how I meant to operate, right? It's really funny. Now I can laugh about it. But that is one way we can see our purpose and mission. So I love doing that. I do a soul purpose astrology session where we go deep into all the things in your chart that talk about your purpose and mission. And I like to combine that now with human design too. It is a bigger investment because it takes about 3 to 4 hours actually, as we go through everything. We go into childhood, we talk about the patterns in your life and where they're holding you back. So it's something that I really love to illuminate for people. The third way that you can find out about your purpose and your mission is called through a concept called ikigai. So ikigai is a Japanese term that really talks about like your soul's purpose, your mission, your reason for being. And it is really, I love Venn diagrams. It's like a Venn diagram of 4 circles that all overlap in the middle. And the 4 circles are the 4 spheres of your life is what you love. So what's your passion? What are you passionate about? Then what the world needs. So what is the mission or your mission that you're attracted to in the world that really, needs you? Then what are you good at? So what's your vocation? So where your skills at, what's your skills? Like, what do you have to offer? And then what do you get paid for? So your profession. So what are your kind of accreditations? What have you gone to school for? What do you actually have experience in? So your skill set, your experience, your passion, and then what the world needs. And as all of those overlap, that is ikigai. That is your soul's reason for being. So when we think about that in your life, what are you passionate about in the world? What do you love to do? What are your skill sets? And what's your experience? Because again, all those assignments are part of your soul's purpose. So all of those things come together. I actually have a little worksheet that I love to give to my clients so they can start to put these things together and start to see where's this convergence in you, right? And then the fourth way that we can find out our purpose and mission is by looking back on the hardships in our life. Everything you have been through is serving a purpose. Everything that you've had to experience, had to endure, the hard things in your life are because you had to learn something through them so that you could help someone else down the road, whether it be your child, your friend, someone larger in the world, whatever that is, that's part of your purpose. And so we can look back on your childhood wound or your childhood trauma and see what is the opposite of that. So there's actually a really beautiful exercise that I take my class through where we go back. So you can do it one of 2 ways. You can look at your trauma from your childhood, or you can see what is one of the best times in your life, all the times in your life that are like your best memories. What do they have in common? And then what are those kind of key words? And then the opposite of that is your childhood trauma. So it's wild. It's totally wild. I learned to do it in a seminar, a 3 day like conference, and it blew my mind, y'all. And then I took it back to my group and I did it the next week with my purpose and passion group as like a bonus class. And it was wild how much it blew everybody's socks off. So my number one like mission value, one of the things I love other than family is connection. Connection and community, so important because I really felt like I didn't belong as a child, right? I just, first generation Canadian. My mom, loved my parents so much. They worked so hard for me. My mom cut my hair, until I was in like grade 6, right? We had a very modest budget for clothing and shoes and all those things. So we never went without, but we really, everything was thrifty, right? So back in the day, for those of you who don't know, there was a place called Byway, very similar to Walmart. We never had any. I remember getting my first pair of Levi's in grade 6. Like that was when I first got my first pair of jeans. Everything else was my mom either sewed it or we got it from, somewhere that was very thrifty. And she made the dollar stretch, bless. I'm so grateful for that. But it did make me very apart from everyone else, made me feel like I was very apart from everyone else. And, when you're in elementary school, you're starting to, you really, after the age of from 7 to 14 in the astrology and in psychology as well, you start to define yourself with your friend group. You start to test out those waters and sort of see like, do I fit in or don't I fit in? Where don't I fit in? And I really didn't fit in terms of the way I looked. I was very homely. When boys found out I liked them, they would want to beat me up, y'all. Like that's how bad it was. But I never gave up, which was kind of interesting, I kept liking them anyways, or I learned to run really fast, or I learned to defend myself. And it wasn't really until grade 9 until somebody liked me back. And it was not a great relationship. It was grade 9, and then I really had my first love in grade 12, and then just went on to, have experiences and stuff, and then found the love of my life, which I'm so thankful for. I've like the best possible husband ever. I feel like I hit the jackpot. But in that, learning to connect to myself, learning that I was beautiful just as I am. I didn't have to contort myself or be something for someone else. I had to learn those lessons then because I couldn't be the leader that I am now if I didn't have that then. So I'm so thankful to all those beautiful humans that didn't like me back or didn't treat me well or cheated on me or whatever it was, because it all led me to where I am today. I'm so grateful. I'm in that gratitude piece. There's no more grief anymore with that. There was a time where I had a lot of grief about that, but I love her so much, my younger self who had to go through that. So, belonging is a really important part of my mission here, and to create communities and safe spaces for people to belong and to feel safe, to be heard and seen and witnessed. It's so interesting. And yet, I find myself going through this lesson now with one of my kids, which is so, again, interesting. It's not lost on me that there's this life lesson come back around again. There's my karmic purpose in my astrology chart, that relationship piece, right? Becoming the mastery of that, learning that. And I grew a very independent human, and now bringing that back into loving that part of myself so that they can love that part of themselves too. I can't change that for them, right? They have to see that they can be supported, that it's okay to have help, but they were independent from the womb, I tell you. So coming back to, when you look at these 4 ways that you can find your purpose and mission, it really illuminates direction in life. It illuminates potentials, what you will say yes and no to. And I say yes to anything that brings connection in my life, right? Whether that's a retreat or a luncheon or a conference or anything. I don't like networking because it just feels very bro-ish. I don't want to network with anyone. I want to know you. I want to meet you. I want to hear your story. I'm interested in where, those wounds are. I want to understand what's your soul-led purpose and where are you struggling in your life? That stuff interests me to no end. Like if you meet me, I'll likely pull up your astrology or human design within a few minutes of this meeting, especially if you're going through something, because I want to see how you were designed to operate and where you are not operating in that way. What's leading to this disconnect between your true self and this other self that has been created in the world. So I hope this is helpful for you. It gives you a few clues as to where to look and what to pay attention to in your life. And if I can serve you or help you in any way, I would absolutely love that. You can message me at Sheetal at sheetalstory.com and send me an email, and I'll send you any information that you need. And I also have, it's been so interesting because Spirit has been dropping in, especially over Christmas, that I need to bring back this Discover Your Soul at Purpose program, this 3-month program. So we are in the works to have it open cart for April. So whenever you're hearing this, I always have it in the background, when it's ready to be come out again, Spirit will let me know. And it's time. It's time again. We need everyone in their purpose. This is the antidote to a world that has been divided. We want to come back into our purpose and our mission, because when we are of service, we can hear people, we can help people. We're wanting to bring everybody back together again. And when everyone is shining their light in their brightest bright of souls, this is when we're going to heal this planet and heal the divide that is tearing us apart. Really, this is not the world that I envision, the Eden that's in my cross, is that we are here for together. We are all rising together. Everybody gets money in their bank accounts. Everyone gets to feel safe in their bodies. Everyone gets to love who they love. And it's not there's not one preference. Is that you get to feel safe and heard and seen in everything that you are, just as you are. So sending you lots of love just as you are. Thank you for being here. You can tell probably by my voice and my energy. I just am so lit up by this topic. It's so my purpose. And I'm glad that you're here on this journey with me too. And if if you know somebody who could be really, impacted by this, please send them. Sharing is caring. This is going to be, I feel like I had to say that. I don't say that on every episode. I mean, sharing is caring on all the episodes, let's be honest. But I feel like this one really is going to impact somebody. So send it to someone that you think needs to hear this, that might be feeling a little lost in their life. And you know what? It could change their life. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Story of Spirit podcast. I hope you have found inspiration, support, and practical insights to help you align with your soul-led purpose and live a life that sets your soul on fire. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and share it with a friend. Your support helps us to reach more listeners and continues to provide valuable content. I sincerely appreciate every share, and I know it is how most people find me. It is because caring people like you have shared me with them at the right and perfect time. For more resources, insights, and to connect with our community, please visit us at www.sheetalstory.com and follow us on Instagram at sheetalstory. Remember, your journey to a more aligned and vibrant life is just the beginning, and I am here to support you every step of the way. Until next time, stay aligned, stay inspired, and keep shining your beautiful light. This is Sheetal Story, signing off from the Story of Spirit podcast. Here's the legal ease that's required by our lawyers. This podcast and the YouTube channel represents the opinions of Sheetal Story and her guests to the show. The content should not be taken as medical, psychological, or financial advice. This series is informational and entertainment purposes only. Because each person is so unique, please consult your healthcare professional, your mental health dream team, your financial advisor, or anyone else that's an expert in the field in where you are thinking of making big choices in your life.